morning, good morning. I'm Jennifer, and I'm gonna show you how to make pie crust. So many people say they can't make pie crust. Little secret, they can. Anybody can make pie crust. Anybody and everybody is gonna have failures. Everybody's gonna mess up occasionally, but you can do it. It's not hard. Little secret here again, my pie crust turn out differently all the time. I do not have a consistent pie crust. No, that's not true. I do have a fairly consistent pie crust, but depending on the weather, depending on what's going on, it's different every time. It's never 100% uniform, and that's okay. It's homemade. It's fine. It's still very, very good. I am the pie baker for a bakery, and there the pie crusts turn out consistent all the time. They have a certain recipe that they make, they mix them up, there's a whole setup. And then the key is we have a sheeter that we use for all the pastries, like the croissants, vanilla braids, those types of things. And so it's a puff pastry, and they sheet it out in the butter, and so it just goes through the machine, goes lower and lower and lower, thinner and thinner and thinner. And so I use that for my pie crust. And that pie crust gets way more flaky than anything I can get in my home kitchen. It's like, basically like a croissant dough. It's just, that's bakery stuff. It's different. It's different from the home. So your home pie crust is going to be different from somebody else's home pie crust. And this is not a competition. This is just making pie and having fun and doing what tastes good to you and what you like. So get yourself out of the mindset that pie crusts have to be like a certain way and start working with it. And as you work with it, you will get a lot better and it will become easy and you'll get a feel and you'll know what to look for, and it's not going to like stop you from having pie. My recipe is just butter, flour, salt, sugar, water, and a food processor. I will also do it by hand for those of you who don't have a food processor and show you how you get the feel for it. So let's do it. It's very, very quickly. 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 sticks of butter. I'm going to just chop them up and put them in. Tablespoon of salt, tablespoon of sugar, and a 1/2 cup of cold water. I don't even use ice like you're supposed to. I just use cold water. Once it all up in here, done. I'll show you. Scoop, and then sweep. Do not pack the flour down. Better to weigh it. I'm not bothering. You can put a little bit of whole wheat pastry flour in here if you want. I don't. Teaspoon of salt. Tablespoon of sugar. And then the butter. Butter is what makes everything so good. Lard is also very good. I do it more for meaty things. Some people use Crisco. I will not use Crisco because I like butter better. Let's just say that. I just chop these into like tablespoon amounts or whatever, just to break it up. Also, I just realized I only have 2 more sticks of butter in the fridge, which is pretty much panic time. I like to keep like 4 pounds at least. That's it. That was just the sugar, flour, salt, and then I put the butter in, kind of scatter it over the top, and then just pulse it until it starts coming together and you still want chunks in it. Don't want it sandy and fine. You don't want it well incorporated, but just enough that it's broken in. I'm going to be adding cold water, and that's going to keep mixing it, so I don't want to do too much. 1/2 cup of cold tap water. Just dumping it in, and then real quick, blend it up. It's still very dry, but it's starting to like chunk up around the bottom, and this top part is really sandy and dry. So I'm just gonna stop because my hands working it together is gonna be adequate. And there's still chunks of butter in there. Look at this. I have a big one, which is fine. My hands will just like mush it up as I go. It'll be great. Here's the pile of crumbs. You can see how sandy it is. Like this is kind of basically powder. And then there's bigger pieces that I've clumped together. That's all good. Just kind of gonna cut it in half and take half and press it together like that. This big piece I'm gonna kind of break into several pieces and press it in. Perfect. It looks really messy, but it's just fine. My little handy plastic bench scraper. My husband will not let me use metal bench scrapers on this because this is his prized possession. He made this. He has lots of prized possessions. He makes a lot of things. Scooch it onto here. Take all the crumbs, put them on top. Same thing for over here. You see how crumbly that is? It's just very light and crumbly. It hardly holds together. That one's holding together just slightly better. Pull it up. Pat it in like that. Press it down because I'm kind of shaping it into a disc. I'm going to stick it in the fridge to set up for a couple hours. Here we go again, this time a handmade pie crust without the food processor. Same ingredients, 2½ cups of flour. I'm making these pieces smaller because my hands are gonna do it and I don't want to work harder. And then I just start mushing it up like that. You can see I'm just kind of mashing the flour into them, but I don't want to work it in too much. And when it starts to get broken up, I can start pressing it and pushing against it to work it in a little bit better. Do that a few times. So you want the flour to have butter and vice versa. You don't want the flour to be separate from the butter too much. This is how I want it mixed up. You can see the butter chunks, lots of flour, but it's kind of mixed in. And then I'm taking cold water, like that much. I'm not even measuring when I do it this way, and I lift and toss. Some more. I'm not sure how much I use, but I go by feel. So now it's starting to come together. And I can squeeze it and see that there's that, but it's still dry and crumbly in some places, which is good. So now, same thing I did before. Dump it all out right here. Cut it right in half. And this dough, it looks more, what's the word? Glutinous almost, like it is almost stringy. And I don't know, I never know why it is doing that, but it has a different feel than the one with the food processor. Can you see the bits of flour and butter? I mean the bits of butter. Right there's like butter, right there's butter. So you lift it up. Bring it over. It's gonna fall.